Each of them introduce themselves. Then I'm going to welcome Dr. Salinas to come back up and moderate the panel. Many of you realize that there's a journal assignment tied to this panel, correct? Yes. So feel free to take notes. This is going to be recorded, so you will have the opportunity to watch it again and be refreshed on all of the amazing leadership journeys that these students have been on. So at this point, if we could start with Ms. Edmonds. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, how are y'all? Can you hear me? Good. Oh, thanks, my Lord. My name is Catherine Edmonds. I have the privilege of serving as your student body president and a sorority woman here on campus.
Hello, friends. My name is Clayton Sims. I'm a student in my third year at the Honors College. I work with Catherine in student government, and I am in a lead owl.
Hello guys, my name is Henry, pre-nursing. I work as house care, basically. I'm glad to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Ella Tepper. I'm actually a graduate student here at FAU. I got my bachelor's, just graduated last year. And I currently serve as a graduate assistant for leadership education.
My name is Anna Peters. I'm a senior and a sociology major, and I'm currently serving as the resident assistant in Algonquin Hall. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. We have an outstanding panelist, members here. Thank you for joining us. And we're excited to learn about your experiences. By why lead, as you start reflecting and thinking your roles at FAU, why lead?
So, if you've ever heard the phrase or the saying, from the outside looking in, you can't understand, but from the inside looking out, you can't explain, I think it's very similar to leadership. The best way to have one of the most incredible experiences here at FAU is to get involved and to be a part of leading. And we talk a lot about being the change and what that means, and there's a really great way to do that, and it's by modeling the way. Through leadership, you have the opportunity to learn and grow as an individual to figure out what you want to do. Through leadership, I figured out what I want to pursue, and it wasn't without those experiences and the people I met along the way that I wouldn't have been able to be where I am today. So I highly encourage you. I think it's important to lead, to figure out who you are, who you wanted to be, and to make an impact while you're here.
I believe that it's really rather a complex question, and I mean, as a follow-up, I guess you could say why live, and so I might say that any particular goal that any individual has is really only made worthwhile by being characterized by struggle, and so when you're trying to do the things that you enjoy, I would say that it's most worth it to add leadership potential so that you can grow and learn and change and find your vision and discover why it is that you want to do anything. So I would say that one should lead to self-actualize.
To go along with what he was saying is that you want to lead because you want to. You want to start a change in your community or in your family. You want to share your knowledge with everyone around you. That's why you should lead, and that's why you need to be involved on campus. You want to keep connecting with people and finding your niche. That's why you should lead.
All right, and to keep it short and sweet, I'm a firm believer that leadership is action, not position. That's one of our favorite quotes that we use all the time. And so it is really what you do with the experiences that you have. You don't have to have a title next to your name to create an impact in this world. And so no matter how small, whether it's within your organization, within your family, within your entire campus or this world, you have the ability to create change and make change for the better and make this world a better place.
I definitely have to agree with Ella. You have to go out there and you have to be really active in what you're doing, and you have to have that passion for it, because you can't keep walking into school every day, just walking through and being kind of a little drop in the ocean, if you will. You want to be that person that's making waves on campus, and you want to be that person that's really engaged in making change, and you want to be able to come back 10 years from now and be able to see things that you've done. And it makes you just feel a lot more pride in being here at FAU, especially because we're going through so much change. We're all the time, and we're constantly adapting to new things and new people. And I think that's something that makes our university really unique, and so you really want to go out there and take advantage of it.
Thank you. as all of you are seeing change within your environment at your school, but also you're changing as students, leaders, individuals, what are you passionate about as a student leader? What's your passion?
I would say my passion as a student leader is making sure that everybody else can try to reach their potential and try to find their place at the university. I know that as big as FAU is, I truly believe that there's enough resources. I think there's enough opportunities for everybody to get involved. And so especially as a resident assistant, trying to identify like what do my residents want to do, what are their interests, how can they get involved, and how can they be proud as an FAUL.
For me, one of the things that I'm personally trying to discover is really what my passion is, and over time I've really come to realize that it's being here, it's being in a college setting, it's working with students, it's about that transformational piece that, you know, college plays in a student's life. And so really I see, you know, the reason why I get up every day and do what I do is to really help other students like myself make the most of their college experience, take advantage of those opportunities, because it has changed my life for the better. And I couldn't imagine where I would be today if I didn't have those experiences along the way. So really helping instill that in others.
My passion here at FAU is basically spreading my knowledge that I can, especially working at Owls Care, like all the misconceptions that people might know. I just like to break those misconceptions. I also like knowing new people, getting to know people, especially working at Owls Care. You work at the Hoot Hoot. We talk to people, spreading information and getting to know one another. I like talking to people. I love going out. That's my passion, especially on our college campus. And you can do almost anything on this campus. Basically what one of our representatives was saying was that you can do almost anything which you put your mind to, and that's what I'm passionate about.
I believe that social investment breeds social change, and so my passion, as far as that is concerned, is to make certain that every individual is both willing and able to reach their full potential and to do what they love and what they feel is best, so that they can be happy and so that they can make the greatest positive change on this planet.
You'll find, I think all of us are really passionate about helping other people, and so in going, I think following that suit, I'm really passionate about people. More specifically, I believe that every person has a voice. If you wake up in the morning, then your day has purpose. And so for each and every one of you going through all of the circumstances that may come your way, for me in any leadership role that I take on, it's how can I help other people find their voice, and how can I help other people fight for themselves, because you see it so often where people don't, or they give up, or they don't know what to do. And so I think in leadership you get the opportunity to meet so many different people and to help people, but also to be encouraged in that place that if you wake up in the morning, you do have a purpose and there's something to do with that. So.
Thank you. What are your values and how do they align with your actions?
When we first had to write down what our values are, it was really hard to navigate and say, okay, what values do I have that I actually live by, and which ones am I following through with? And I found that my values have become, and they've transformed a little bit. My top 3 values would be, first and foremost, family more than anything. Education and learning would be my second, and third would be love and kindness. I think it's really important that you know your values, because it helps to guide you in the decision making when things can get really difficult, or when areas become gray in circumstances in life. You're able to look and say, okay, not so much how do I feel at this moment, but what do my values say, and am I going to make decisions based on my values no matter how I necessarily feel.
My values are integrity, used as an umbrella term for things like trust, honesty, and then next would be growth, and finally communication. And so I believe that every individual has the potential to do great things, and I also believe that it's the divine end of living that every individual should do everything in their power to make an impact on at least one other individual. And so going through my day-to-day life, I do everything that I can to see who's around me and who needs just one little push to get them on their path. And I can't tell them what their path is, but if I'm doing things right, then maybe I can help get them started.
Going along with what he was saying, to add on to the values of mine, is basically integrity as well. Another value of mine is punctuality, even though like it's not like one of the values that a lot of people might say, but going on in life, you need to be like punctual with what you have to do. Say for instance, you have a meeting. I would say to be 10 to 15 minutes early, so you can like review what's going on at that meeting, so you can be like in the zone of what is going to be talked about in that meeting. But other than that, what he was saying is like the same thing of what my values are.
And so my top values would be balance, optimism, and growth. Balance really encompassing all the roles that I fulfill, so whether that's as a daughter, as a best friend, as a student, as a worker, all of those roles, so finding that balance between all of that, which can be tough as a college student, for sure. So I'm constantly, planning, making to-do lists. You can talk to me about it, because I love talking about my list. And then for optimism, I'm definitely the type of person that has a positive approach to everything, so I really try to be open-minded, and I really just try to be kind of, that positive person in a group that's always going to be, look at the bright side of things, and I think I do a pretty good job of that. And then growth is just really all-encompassing of all opportunities, challenges, experiences that I have, making sure that each day I'm working a little bit more towards growing as an individual and as a person. So whatever that looks like, whether that's, with my classes or with stuff that I'm doing at work or with my organizations I'm involved with, just finding opportunities to constantly grow.
My number one value is definitely integrity. I feel like that one's a very rough one for a lot of people, because it's the value that you're doing the right thing, even if you know that there's no consequences for deviating from it, or you know that there's no consequences from doing the wrong thing, because nobody's watching you. And I think that's very important to stick to, because sometimes you don't even know that those decisions that you're making are impacting other people's lives. So having integrity is definitely really important, and although it's really difficult, that's really something you should stick with. And also compassion for other people. Sometimes you'll see stuff and people will maybe not do what they're supposed to do, or maybe they're in a really bad mood, or they're taking it out on somebody else. And it's really important to go in thinking that, maybe they're having a bad day, or what can I help you with? Or trying to assume the best in people. And that way you can connect with them better, and you can make those connections, you can help them be better people, and then help, because sometimes there's just stuff that people can't help, and that's why they may not be doing as well that day, or they might be mad at you that day. And so if you have both of those values, you can really connect and reach out to people and be a really good leader, I think.
Thank you. And now I want two of our panelists, and you, as leaders, you get to choose who is going to answer this question, so start making that decision. Only two of you. Who is a leader you admire or aspire to be?
All right, I have two leaders that I aspire to be and admire. One is my dad, and then the other dad, because he loves his job. Like, everyone wants to love their job and wake up and do it every day. My dad knows his job from the back of his hand. He always wakes up with a good attitude, wanting to go to his job. Every day he wants to learn. The second person would be King George VI, because he was a person that, when you read about him, he did not have the skills to publicly speak, especially during World War I, when he had to speak to the entire nation about what was going on. He had to learn, and that taught me that public speaking is a learning process. You always have to learn about public speaking, and you just have to keep doing it every day. And those are two people that I admire and aspire to be.
Does anybody else say Jim? Because I'll do it. Is it all right if I also say two? Is it appropriate? Okay. So the first is a gentleman named Howard Blackburn, who was a Nova Scotian fisherman in the 19th century, and he was once caught off somewhere in the ocean in the middle of winter in a dinghy. And for those of you who don't know what a dinghy is, it's a small rowboat. And so now imagine being off the coast of Canada in the middle of winter with nothing but a boat, 2 oars, another guy, and some fish. And he rowed for, his friend in the boat died, froze to death, and he rowed for 4 days and finally made it to the coast of some other country. And they rehabilitated him, and he lost all of his fingers except for the half of one thumb. He lost, I believe, part of his nose and most of his toes, and then proceeded to circumnavigate the globe alone. And so I look up to Howard Blackburn as really just the true picture of indomitability, and I use him as a reference point to prove that there's really, at no point is it appropriate to give up. And then the second is a young woman named Samantha Johnston, who was a graduate of the Honors College this past April. And every time that I watched her do anything, she was just a pure image of ingenuity and personability and ethics and integrity. And so I always think, when I'm doing something, you know, how would Samantha feel if I told her about this later? And that helps keep me on track for sure.
Thank you. And this question is for Ella. Ella, what is one piece of advice you would have for any student at FAU?
All right, so one piece of advice I would have, kind of going back to my why and why I love being here, is really to take that first step to get involved, and if you're already involved, maintaining that throughout your time at FAU. I think it's so important for you to have a place where you can kind of feel like you belong. So whether that's in an organization or through a leadership program or even within your classes, forming study groups, finding that opportunity to connect with other people, I think is so key to being successful as a student. So it goes far beyond just what you're doing in the classroom, but connecting that to what you're doing outside, getting those experiences outside of the classroom. So I will be the 100% huge proponent for involvement on all levels in any way, shape, or form. So if you're a first-year student and you're looking to take that first step, I mean, you're here right now, which is awesome. So you're already on your way to, being introduced to more opportunities. So I would just say, don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Go out there, find something you're interested in, find something you're passionate about. If you need help, just ask for it. Especially like all the elite owls around the room, we're all students, we were there, we're in our positions now based on our involvement, so if you have questions, feel free to ask us anytime.
In addition to that, another advice is to declare the leadership minor. So make sure you do that as well.
Agreed.
This question is for Catherine. What is one leadership challenge you have had to overcome on or off campus, and how did you rise to this challenge?
Sure. So, as student body president, you have an extreme privilege to work with a lot of people. You also have the extreme privilege of working with people who do not like you and do not agree with anything that you say. And so the biggest challenge being that I'm naturally a people pleaser. I like to make everyone happy. The biggest challenge I think I've overcome in this is learning you can't please everyone and being completely okay with that and still moving forward. So in leadership, be okay with the idea of failing, even if you're afraid of it, because I hate the idea of failing. It's not in my genes, is what we say in my family. But something that comes with leadership is failing. And so the biggest challenge is being okay with people, not agreeing with your ideas, figuring out how to come together and still hearing everyone's thoughts out or hearing everyone's opinions, and figuring out how can you bring everyone to the table and say, let's do what's best for the student body and not for myself. And so that's been the biggest challenge, is getting everyone on the same page and then being okay that not everyone likes me and not everyone agrees with what we're doing, but making sure that we're doing it for the students. And so that's probably the biggest challenge, is being okay with failing and being okay with not making everyone happy.
Thank you. Now I want to open the floor for you to ask any questions. Any of you might have any questions for a panelist? Don't be shy. Be a leader.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Yeah, you.
Henry.
Okay, so I know that you're doing pre-nursing, and I feel like not a lot of people feel like a nurse can be a leader, especially because we don't have a really high position standing. So what do you feel like being in this whole leadership thing is going to help you as being a future nurse?
Okay, like I know that a lot of people don't think nurses can be leaders. One thing that I think that how we can be leaders is that we are the people that are with the patients. We are the people that take care of the patients. That in of itself is being a leader because you're taking care of the patients. You have like up to 5 patients a shift, and you're leading. Whoa, you're leading in a way that will save people's lives, and that's how I feel that leadership will show as a nurse.
Thank you, Henry. We have one more question over here.
How do you deal with failure? Catherine, because I can see you.
To be honest, when I first got in as a freshman, when I first came into a role, in a leadership role, I shut down and backed away and was like, if I fail, then I can't continue on. I can't be a leader. So that was a huge hesitation. Now how I deal with failure is I bring everyone who was involved in the equation. I will sit them down and say, here's what happened, here's where I made a mistake, and we all take a part of ownership in that failure and decide what kind of failure it is. Because there's failures where you made an ethical decision that was not okay and wasn't acceptable, so an unethical decision. There are failures where you tried something and it didn't work. That's not a bad thing at all because you tried in the first place, and if your intentions were in the right place and if you're doing it to help people, then that's not a failure in my opinion. So for me to deal with failure, I've redefined what failure is. Failure doesn't mean that the plan didn't go as it was originally planned or things weren't executed as planned. Failure to me is you didn't try at all. And so if you tried, then that's what's worth it, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is to any of you, but when you have leadership underneath you that you're kind of helping them become leaders as well and taking up jobs, how do you retain them and keep them motivated and staying in their leadership position?
I would say it's just continuing to follow them up like one-on-one and to kind of encouraging them by giving them new opportunities if you can, or just talking about new ideas and their goals for the future. I know that I get most motivated when I'm talking to mentors and I'm talking about like what the future's going to look like or something that's like easy for me to do to get up there, or if they have any additional opportunities. And I think when you have something that you're trying to lead, it's just that encouragement, because if you go a long time without talking about what you're passionate about, or you go a long time without practicing that, then you kind of burn out on it. So it's just constantly being reminded of what's important to you and what you're passionate about and how you can put that into action.
We have time for one more answer.
Okay. Can I give one? Clayton, can I just use an example?
Okay.
Are you okay with that? Okay. So Clayton and I work together, and my job, I technically supervise him. So for me, as a leader overseeing his outcome and what he does, it's my job to make sure that he has all the resources available to be successful. Now that's easy to say, but what does that mean in the day-to-day? I think it's a leader who's overseeing or working with other people and checking out how are they individually, both are they personally having the resources they need, but also for work do they. Asking a lot of questions is a really great way, I think, to start. Asking, figuring out where are they coming from and what are their goals, what are their ambitions, and sometimes they don't know, but just asking the questions can be a really great way to helping them figure it out. And then also listening and figuring out, okay, what resources can I give them that they don't already have? One thing that we do in SG is we've been sending all of our teammates to the lead office to do Start With Why. It's really important that they have those resources, so if you can be a resource by providing answers or sending them other directions, that can be one way to really help them get a start.
Thank you. I think that's the end of our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for your thought-provoking questions to all of you, but also for your answers.